welcome to video number 1, after the welcome one that is, in the capacity generator. This is where we get busy and start to make something happen. And I think I'm cutting off the top of my head there. Let me just adjust things. This video is entitled Where Your Capacity is Hiding, where our capacity is hiding perhaps. To start with, let's imagine a little story. I live on a really nice street. It's a friendly street, and it's pretty, and there's the trails at the end and so on. And it's very neighborhoody for the most part. Let's imagine that there's a woman. I'm just making this up, okay? What's that they say in books? Any semblance of a real person was unintended. Let's just imagine that there's a woman on my street who never comes out of the house. Is lonely and isolated as a result of that, because she feels the world is very, very unfriendly. She spends all her time watching the news, right? I'm not picking on the news here, but it could be shows or something too. But anyway, she's constantly seeing things that show her that outside world is unfriendly. And though one always has to be a little bit street savvy, depending on where they're living, and we've got to look after ourselves. I mean, for the most part, most of our streets are pretty safe and happy, and certainly worth the risk, right? Rather than holding up in our house. We'll certainly die there. And so in the story, she'd been watching all this news, and so she looks at her curtains, and feels that the world is unsafe, and therefore she feels lonely, and she can't get enough social togetherness in her life. I can't just think of the right word there. Obviously, she's not feeling happy at all, possibly depressed, and so on. If we were going to endeavor to help this woman, if she wanted help, from us, that is. I mean, one thing we might do is gently, maybe we need to do something in her house first, but gently we're getting to the point where we take her around to visit some of the neighbors, and have tea, have coffee or something, just hang out for a little bit, and really let her get to realize that, oh my God, it's not quite as, awful as I had thought it was. She had been Fox Newsing herself. Point of this story is that when it comes to depression and stuckness and the sorts of things that we're working on in this course, I have come to find, not just myself, I've been testing this out with a lot of people for the last, more than a year now, before I ever brought it to you. Because there are a lot of experiments to be done. We need to figure this out more. And we did figure out a lot. The equivalent for someone with depression, like me, like I was, is, are we Fox Newsing ourselves? So it's true we can't do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. That's true, all right? So just like the things they report on the news are often true, it's just that there's not the whole story. It's only 1% of the story. The rest was much better, right? So I can't do this, 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 this. That's true. And so we end up feeling, just like that woman alone in her house, we end up feeling like we can't do anything. Right? We're focused on the things we can't do, and not much wonder, because they hurt and they're painful and we want to fix them, right? So there's nothing wrong with focusing on them, just like there's nothing wrong with focusing on problems in the world. It's just that if we lose perspective, then we usually end up feeling impotent, stuck. It's not the only cause of depression, but I believe it's a cause, and I believe it's a cause more often than is recognized. That's the theory that I've come to at this point in the game. So, if we're going to broaden our perspective just to see if this is going to have an effect on us, we know full well what we can't do because we think it 85 times a day. All right? So we don't have to ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist. We're not trying to be Pollyanna. We know it exists. Also, what else is true? So, if we're going to go looking for something else, we could look for the things that we just barely managed to do, the big things that we somehow got through, some phone call or something we were terribly afraid of. We could look for those things. I don't think that's the high power place to look. I think the high return on investment place to look is the place we're least noticing. It's the places where we have such high capacity that we didn't notice it. So we notice the places that we have really low or no capacity to do, On the other side of the coin, let's flesh this out, to unfox news ourselves, where is my high capacity? Right. Our high capacity is hiding right under our nose every day in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ways. It's going to sound simplistic, but when we talk about the theory in coming videos, which I won't go into right now, I just want to get you started. You'll start to realize, holy shit, this is a source of strength. It's almost like if we want to have strength or confidence or some kind of, more a feeling of something in our lives, then let's go find the pieces of it and put them together. Where in my life, it's true I don't have the confidence or the peace or the security or whatever to do blah, blah, blah. Where do I? Well, I have more than enough peace to blah. I have more than enough peace to blah. Okay, so let's get started with an example before any more, rambling here on my part. I just want to get you started. I've been testing this, as I said, for quite a long time, and here's what we discovered. You've heard of gratitude journals, and you're probably noticing that there is some overlap here, and there absolutely is. There's very similar theory and lines of thinking in behind it. However, most people suggesting gratitude journals, for instance, will say write 5 lines. And they do work. That's why people keep suggesting them. They do work. However, what would happen if you wrote 25 lines? And gratitude is only one of the states, the inner states. And for someone who's quite strongly depressed or has been for a long time, it's a very difficult state to address, to feel. Even if you write it, it doesn't feel it inside. So all of that to say that we found that writing 25 lines, in other words, noticing at least 25 areas of high capacity per day, is kind of a magic number. More than that is bloody brilliant. I was doing 100, 200 a day because it was working, and it was, plus it was the only thing I could really accomplish. All right? But not less than 25, or I don't think it's going to have an effect for you. I really don't. 25 or more, right? So here's what it looks like. Now that I've explained it all, it's dead simple. You take your journal. I'll use the same notebook again. And we go looking for areas of high capacity. Things that you did during the day, just now, for instance, or during the day that you can recall, that you actually did, not that you could do, that you did. Your mind goes, I did that, I did that. Things where you accomplished something so easily you didn't even think about it. You didn't question your strength to do it. All right? Now, what happens when we start amassing together 25, 50, 75, when we start collecting together through our days here, your areas of high capacity? Is it possible that might have an effect on the Fox News effect of what I'm not capable of? What we've found is yes, for most people this works great. So, starting. I'm just going to get you to write, whether it's on your computer or in your notebook, or if you just can't decide, then start with a notebook. It's just like super easy, whatever. And you can mix and match. You can change your mind down the road. Each line that we're going to write is perhaps I said this already, I'm forgetting, is called a deposit in the capacity generator account, because each line matters. Each time that woman from the house, from the story earlier, turns around and sees a smiling face walking up the sidewalk, she knows the world's friendlier. It's a bit friendlier, at least, than what she had thought. Right? Every glance matters. Every glance is a shovelful into a hole that we fell into. Every line is a push-up for someone who's trying to get in shape. Every line matters. Okay, so line number 1. Put a number 1 on your page. I'll hold this up when I'm done. And right beside number 1, I have more than enough capacity to. Capacity to. All right, I wrote that there in the left column. In the right column, there's a reason we do columns. We'll talk about it later. In the right column, we finished the sentence with something that we just did. So I just made a welcome video before I made this one. So I'm going to write to make a video. You could say to watch this video. Because you are, right? So it's true you don't have the capacity to do blah, 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 But do you have enough capacity to get this far in the video? Yep, you do, in fact. High capacity, you weren't even noticing, unless I was boring you to tears. All right, so here is deposit 1 in my list. What I would like you to do today is write 25 lines just like it, and all you're looking for is the simple things. You can write them all right now, or you can just pop this through the day. You notice that, oh, I have more than enough capacity to walk down the sidewalk, because I just did. I have more than enough capacity to blah, blah, blah. So you need to get 25 lines in. You don't need to, I suggest it. Get 25 deposits done today so that we're ready for tomorrow's work. I think that's all that I better say in this video, even though I'm so excited I want to say more. So I got to save something for the next videos. Get started today with 25 lines, and best of luck with it. I'll talk to you in the next video.